So as sheet materials are being added into a bill or library item, there's various functions available to assist with ensuring you've estimated the correct quantity of sheets. Also, there are facilities to calculate square metre surfaces that may require finishes to be applied and linear meters of edges that may need edgings or lippings. So we'll look at these in turn in the sheet materials. Firstly, I want to show you how you can replace materials that you've already entered into the sheet materials area with a different material. So it might be, as you can see here, I've entered in the side panels, top panels, front panels, bottom panel, and the rear plinth and centre division, all as 15mm MDF. Now, I might be thinking, I've made a mistake here. Really, they should be at 18mm rather than 15mm. So what we do is we select the items that we want to replace. We then go to replace materials with another, click on that button. That will then load the sheet material listing. So you've got all the sheet materials that are available here. And then I'm just going to filter this down to the MDF 18mm. Select the material that you want. And then say use selected item. It just wants you to confirm that you want to replace these 6 items with the 18mm MDF. Click yes. The system will then replace those materials and then recalculate the figures with a new total. So it's as simple as that to replace materials with another one. Simply click on the required materials and click replace materials with another. You get the list up. I'm going to cancel this to say no item selected. And then you come back to the screen and it doesn't remain changed. So it's very simple and straightforward to change materials that you've already entered in with a different material. So looking at the calculate total meter squared function. Now, the usefulness of this will depend on the way that you estimate. If you're already putting in total sheet prices, then it's not really going to be any help to you. But it might be if you're pricing an item panel by panel, as we look at this example here, where if I go to my sheet materials, you can see that we've entered the side panels, the top panel, front panel, bottom panel, rear panel, all with the same material. Now, if it's a standard stock material, then you're probably not overly worried whether you're going to use to the nearest full sheet. You'll just put your standard wastage factor on and you'll be covered, because any part of the sheet not used will obviously go back into stock and used on the job. But if it was a specialist material or you're buying specifically for the job, you might want to see, have I got enough wastage allowed to cover for the number of sheets? So if you click on one of the items that uses the material, then click the calculate total M squared for selected material. The system will then ask, do you want to exclude the wastage from the calculations? Well, in this instance, yes, we do, because I don't want to factor in any wastage that I've put on. So the system will then calculate that I've got 3.44 square meters of that material, which equates to 1.16 sheets. So I've now got the option to adjust this wastage to bring it up to using 2 sheets. So by clicking that, the system will automatically uplift the wastage factor to cater for that. So if I do the same operation again, but this time say include the wastage, you can see the system's now saying that I've allowed basically 2 sheets, i.e. 1.99 sheets. So that's a way of rounding everything up so that you're not using part of a sheet, you're basically going to the full sheets. And it really is as straightforward as that. So looking at the summing up of a selected surface, now this could be used for several reasons. It might be one instance where I've got to apply laminate, say, to the outside of the side panels and the top panel. And then I want to know if I'm covered with my 1 sheet of the wear right that I've currently put in. So I can simply select the items that I want to sum. So I've got two side panels, a top panel and a front panel. Click sum selected M squared. And then the system wants to know, do you want just the one surface or both surfaces? So if I just click include surface 1, you can see I've got a total meter squared of 4.2. If I click the other surface, obviously it's doubled. Now it doesn't matter which order I click these in, it's just basically saying, do you want it one-sided or two-sided? Now, because in this case, I'm only applying the laminate to one surface, I just allow one. So the system's telling me I've got 4.258 square meters. Copied that to the pasteboard as well, which we'll look at in a minute. But then I can come and look and see I've got the total covers for the wearite, and I've only got 3.721 because I've got one sheet. So this is where I can then say, okay, I now need to increase that to 2 sheets, although I'm over catering for it, but the offcuts might not be required for anything else. So I've now allowed the total sheets required. Another area might be I want to calculate how much square meterage is for spraying. So if I want to spray, say, the inside of the unit, I could select the 3 panels that have got a laminate on the other side. Now I know it's 4 point odd square meters, but we'll just sum that again. Say we want the one surface. The system's told me it's 4.258. Now let's put that onto the pasteboard. So what I can now do is go to my library items. Then I've called in a spray rate. So I can then say the internal surfaces to the top and sides, simply paste Control V, and it'll paste the quantity required for that, and then it'll calculate how much is required. Go back to the sheet materials to do the other internal surfaces. So we've got the bottom panel, the rear plinth, center division, and the shelves. Now I'll probably want these spraying both sides, so I click sum selected, include surface 1, include surface 2, so I've got 4.724. That's put onto the pasteboard for me. I can then go to the library items, select the internal surfaces, finish, paste that quantity in, then the system will cost that for me. So it's very simple to sum the required items. Simply select the items that you want, click sum selected, and say which surfaces that you want adding. And that's all there is to that. So looking up using the sum selected edges feature, it might be that you want the system to calculate how many linear meters of lippings that you need, or how many linear meters of iron-on edging that you require. So simply select the items that you want. So let's say we want to apply some lippings to the side panels, top panel, and the front panel. Click select some selected edges, and then you've got the option to say how many edges that you actually want included in the sum. Now in this case, because I only want to do the one edge, I just click the one. Doesn't matter which edge I actually click, you can see we get the total meterage on either. If we click all of them, obviously it just keeps calculating the totals. So we just want the one edge calculating, so I've got 4.1 linear meters. That's now copied to the pasteboard. So that means I could then go to the cubic materials area, and where I've got an area for my lippings, I can simply paste in the linear meterage that I want, and then the cost is calculated for me. So look at another area, say I wanted some iron edgings for all the shelving, various areas. We could say I want the center division and the shelves, some selected edges. So it might be that we want one long edge and 2 of the short edges doing. So I've got 4.7 meters. I can then go to the linear meterage materials area and then paste in the quantity of edgings that I want for that, and that will then calculate the cost. So obviously this will take into account how many panels I want. So if I take the shelves there, we've got 2. So if I just sum all the edges here, I just click all of those, you can see we've got 4.4. If I was to increase that to, say, 8, and then I sum those, you can see the system immediately takes into account the quantity of panels that are required as well. So very straightforward to selecting how many edges that you want calculated in the linear meterage totaling. So as you're entering each material, each new line appears at the bottom of the next, which is fine, it's all included in the cost. But it might be that when you're checking stuff, it's easier to see things in a more logical order. So it might be that I want to see this wearite panel underneath the front panel, where basically we've allowed for these to be covered with a laminate. Similarly, with the plinth cover, I might want to appear below the plinth. So to get these to reorder, simply find the line number if you want. So we want item 3, we want it to appear just below that. So if I change that number to say 3.5, it will then appear below there. Same with the plinth. If I want that to appear below the rear plinth, I can put that to 5.5. I can put 5.1, 5.2. It's a numeric sum, so it's ordering it in that way. So I can just say let's say 5.2. You'll see that it then orders it in that line there. So it's very easy to order those. Now, if you don't like seeing all these points, it might be that you want to move something around as well. So you might say that that now wants to be up here. So we could say that's, let's move that to 1.2. So that moves that to there. And you don't like to see these numbers, you can get the system to renumber it. So once you've got it in the order that you want, simply click renumber, and the system will just renumber it from 1 to whatever. So that's basically all that is about there, but it allows you to reposition various items in this listing just to make it easier to read when you're checking things. So finally on this video, I just want to show you how the system can notify you that a cost may be out of date. So basically I'm going to change this item to another material. So I'm just going to force the system to search the library. So now I'm going to select a 10x4 sheet. First of all, the system asks me, because it's already a line entry, do I want to replace the length and the width I've already added with the material size, or keep the sizes that I entered? So I'm going to say no, keep the entered sizes. But now, because the cost of this hasn't been updated for X number of days, the system's alerting me to that, telling me what it's costed per sheet. Just saying that it was last reviewed on the 30th of May 2024. Obviously, I can still use the material, but it might be prudent to check the cost. So all I do is say, okay, thanks for the info, and I can still use the price. Now, if I wanted to go and check that price or amend it, I can highlight the item, go to amend selected library item. So we temporarily leave the bill item that we're working on, go to the core material library. I can then either update the cost or just say that we've checked the cost. So we can now verify that today. Save the changes, so that if I call that in again now, I'll just retype the code so it searches. We don't get the alert saying that the cost might be out of date. Similarly, if I go to the to select materials from the overall listing, if I just pick a few random items to be entered into the system, as it enters these, it will check the costs against each one and alert me if any of the ones are potentially out of date. So it's telling me that the standard 25mm thick may be out of date. The MDF lightweight, this is actually a cost applied at the moment. Similarly, with the 12mm. They can still be entered. They're still entered into the system, but I can then go and check or amend the library as required. So that's all there is really to the simple cost alerts. Okay, so thanks for taking the time to look at this short video, and hopefully it will have helped you with this area of Contract Controller. If you need more assistance with using Contract Controller or would like more information, then please do get in touch.